So what is equine-assisted psychotherapy? Do horses need therapy, or is it people? Well, I'm going to start out by telling you a story, first of all. Brian already said that I'm a licensed professional clinical counselor. I'm in private practice, and I use my animals as part of the healing process. So I'm going to share a little bit about what equine-assisted psychotherapy is and kind of how it works, and share some stories as well. So I was in an arena with my co-facilitator, and our client was a young teenage girl that had been experiencing a lot of stuff, anxiety, depression, kind of oppositional behavior as well. She grew up in a family with domestic violence and a lot of chaos, as so many people do. And she was trying to work through her stuff, and we were just there holding some space for her with the horses. So there were 3 horses in the arena, and the one on the right in the picture was starting to get kind of aggressive. We were in the middle of the arena. He started chasing the paint horse, and then the other horse just went into a corner and stood and faced the corner. It was interesting. My client said, "This is just like home. This is just like when my parents were still together." We stayed there for a bit, and it started escalating, and I said, maybe we should go outside the arena. So we went outside the arena, and we observed from out there, and it continued to escalate, and this was odd behavior for this horse, and it was interesting. And she was able to explore more about what she has had to go through, right? And what it's been like, and we were able to talk about coping skills and problem solve. What can she do in the future so that she doesn't go back into herself, into a domestic violent relationship. So horses end up mirroring our human emotions. They kind of mirror relationship dynamics, and they offer a different perspective into people's lives. So this barrel, you're going, what is the deal with the barrel, Liz? The barrel is actually real. It's a real prop that we use in our sessions. And I have a little sign on here, a prop. It says real, honest, and present. My message for you today is that horses are real, honest, and present. And they invite us to be the same way. The interactions and anything in that space when somebody's having a session, whether it's an individual, a family, or a group, anything is fair game. So the barrel has represented everything from depression to anxiety to money problems to goals, successes, fears, you name it. For me, yesterday it represented getting ready for the TED Talk and actually getting up here to talk to you guys about my passion. So I'm standing next to my fear, and I'm okay. In fact, I can touch my fear, and I'm going to be all right. So being with the horses allows people to explore things that are intangible, and it makes them more tangible. This picture kind of brings me back to a time. I grew up with horses. I was fortunate to live in the country and in a family where horses were just part of the family. And I was able to observe the body language and really get to know them. And over the years, I graduated from high school, moved away, did some different things, had some adventures. And I met a guy that swept me off my feet, Mr. Prince Charming. Mr. Prince Charming turned into Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And I realized, well, looking in the rearview mirror, I realized it was domestic violence. And I didn't know what to do, and I felt isolated and alone and scared and uncertain. Something about the horses probably was tapping at me on the inside going, you can do this. Slow down, you've got this. I had to face my fears. It was a standoff between me and domestic violence, me and what I wanted to do with my life. So I remembered a time when I was free, when I was younger, and I was happy. And I knew it was there. But leaving was hard. That was a hard part because you couldn't just walk out. I had to be strategic about how I left. So I left in the middle of the day and said I was going to get a few groceries, and I never went back. So I went home, actually. I went home to my family, my friends, and the herd. And I sought counseling. I went to the battered women's shelter. I said, I need help. I need help. I'm scared. I had to take a leave of absence from my job. I mean, this is real stuff. Talk about getting real, honest, and present. Yeah, when you're scared for your life, you get pretty real. So the horses have actually led me on a journey to the depths of my soul. And I'm realizing I can face more fears. I can handle more barrels or obstacles in my life. And the horses have been real, honest, and present the whole time. This horse lying down, it takes trust for a horse to lie down like that. After all, they're prey animals, and their survival depends upon their ability to be on their feet, think on their feet, and be ready to move at the drop of a hat or a flutter of a leaf. I had to let my guard down and become vulnerable in order to heal. And that's what I needed, was space and time to heal. And I think that's where most of the learning and growth happened for me, was when I was struggling the most. And sometimes that's when we don't even realize it. So the eye is a window to the soul. So I began to set my sights toward the future. I went back to school and I finished my degree. I was talking to my mom. I said, I don't know what to get a degree in, Mom. She goes, well, what are you interested in? I said, I'm kind of interested in psychology. Well, then do that. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do that. So I did that and met a really nice guy and ended up marrying him and started a family. And then, life takes over and you're busy and I don't know. 2009 came along and I realized that something was kind of tapping me on the shoulder going, you need to do something with those horses, Liz. There's just something that you need to find your passion, your mission. And I came across equine-assisted psychotherapy. And I thought, this is interesting. Went to a training, grabbed a friend, brought her along. I was hooked. I was like, wow, this is fascinating. So I decided to go back to school again for my master's degree, and that was interesting too. Talk about feeling vulnerable, older than average student. I'm thinking, all these negative, irrational thoughts are going, can you do it? Are you worth it? All that good stuff. But I just had this little seed of an idea inside of me, and I thought, I can do this. So once again, those horses were helping me get real, honest, and present. So here's the horse herd, or part of it. We have more than this. But just like humans have their unique challenges, strengths, and, humans and horses all have their stories. They are definitely present as clients are there working through their heavy emotions and maybe anxiety, depression, grief, whatever it is, they're there. Usually they're not running like this, though. Usually they're just kind of standing there. But they reflect what's going on with us, and they give us instant feedback. And here's the human team. So we started out with 2 people in 2009, and now we have at least 10 people, and we are working with people of all ages and all walks of life, dealing with all kinds of different issues, and I love it. It's awesome. I'm grateful to be able to do this work, and so it's awesome to be standing here on the red dot. So again, we just try to hold a safe space for people to explore whatever comes up, okay? For instance, let me set down that for a minute. This brush actually is one of those things that holds space in a really great way for people as they're brushing a horse, or even just, standing next to a horse like my sister is, and soothing the horse. There's something about that connection. They're able to really get to the heart of what's happening inside. And we're there with them, sharing their story and just waiting for whatever comes up. And it's in that space that really good things happen. So my sisters and I, we did a role play. Actually, we were doing like a photo shoot, and so this is a picture of us. And I thought, we'll just get somebody to take some pictures. You know what? Stuff came up for us too. Yeah, I'm the youngest of us sisters, and that's me in the back. And, my older sisters were in the front, and that's just kind of how it's always been. And it's cool. We laughed, and I think maybe somebody might have cried. Maybe me. So, another story, because I'm running out of time now. We had a client that was working on staying sober. She was in an inpatient treatment facility and came to see us once a week for therapy. And we did this session where, I forgot to bring it, but we had a little feed pan, and we put grain in it. And that represented her vulnerability, or vulnerabilities. Well, she said her biggest vulnerability was just staying sober, her sobriety. So we put the sobriety out in the arena, and she had these two horses to try to keep them away from, and those horses represented her problems, which were her addiction and her relationship with her father. It didn't go well at first because the horses went, they wanted the grain, right? And she took off. She was out of there. And we're just, holding the space, my equine specialist and I. And then another time, we just tried it again. She took off again. She goes, "This is what I always do. I run away. I run away. When my dad comes around, I just go back to using. He's a trigger." And we just heard the whole story. It was awesome. So just checked in again with her. And the third time, she came up with something. She said, she did it. She didn't even say it. She did it. She picked up her sobriety, and you see it. She's like, "I got this." And we have permission, by the way, to tell the story and use the picture. And she was able to keep her addiction and her father away. And so, talk about making something tangible, more tangible. So I'm curious what you might see in this picture. In the world of psychology, it's critical to demonstrate that therapy models, such as equine-assisted psychotherapy, are shown to be validated and reliable. And there are critics out there who might say, "Does this really work?" And we get it. In fact, we need more research. And so we're taking efforts to take care of that and work on that problem. We've created the human-animal interaction scale and also a metaphor record. And these are tools that our clients actually use. They fill them out, and it gives them feedback as to what's happening in the sessions, and it gives us feedback so that we can in turn give that to funders and other stakeholders that might be interested in using equine-assisted psychotherapy. So in closing, again, horses are real, honest, and present, and if we can look to them as models of behavior, we too can be more real, honest, and present. And when we are real, honest, and present, we can become the best version of ourselves. Thank you.